Alright, hey everyone. Today I am going to do, for the final painting, a Leyendecker study. Master sketch. Just gonna do a little festive, little Santa Claus. Alright, let's start with the drawing. Why don't I just get a little charcoal down just to make sure I don't. Look at that negative shape there. Right there. I'm going to do just a little portion of it. I'm going to do the whole thing just for time's sake. There we go. And that is enough for me just to see just the composition. And the beautiful thing is if you can draw shapes like that, you can then move stuff wherever you need to. There we go. All right, let's get this. All right. So there's actually a lot of his writing, Final Line. James Garney's done a lot of writing about Leyendecker and his method back in the day. So if you want, I'd encourage you to Google him. And he was very, very prolific. Studied at the Académie Julienne in Paris, I believe under Bouguereau. I'm going to just start with just a little bit of a line drawing, and then I'm going to just see how far I can make it here. It's just a Trykel. Always ask me what the brush is. A Trykel Legion 9100R. And drawing from an iPad here. So don't typically do that, but you know, I usually paint from life. But if you're doing a master's study or a copy like this, there's not a lot of choices, of course, because this isn't gonna. I don't have the painting in front of me. All right, this corner of that comes in. This is Michael Harding's Burn Number. One of my favorites. All right, and then bring this over. All right, bring that over a little bit. And then let's get the eye in there. Just get the drawing in. Of course, you know, you take as much time as you want with these. Sometimes I'll do quick ones, sometimes I'll do longer ones. A real master study, I mean, this is more of a sketch. But to me, the master study would be something you really want to extract something from. Of course, there's benefit in even these short ones. But if you do a longer one, then you can get, you know, a technique or a little bit more to it. All right, let's get a little bit more here. All right, he always has like this kind of action going on in the painting. All right, and then bring this over. And this is just on a tone canvas. There we go. Bring this down. And then bring this over. And I think this was a 1918, World War I, maybe study, or a poster cover of the Post. All right, and then bring this over there and get the clip. It's going to do a Rockwell, but you got to be careful because some of this stuff, like Rockwell, is still under copyright. So, I mean, you can copy whatever you want, of course, but to publicly post it, it gets a little trickier. Right. Bring this over there. Again, maybe it's just that's enough for the day. You know, to do something small like this, and you're not at the, you know, everything about the sketch idea is to, I mean, there's of course a ton of value in it, but even just to get into the studio daily, I find it's like going to the gym and just forcing yourself to do something, whatever it is. Most people can't get to the gym, and just get yourself into doing whatever, like a small little study like this, and it takes some of the pressure away from always creating, you know, finish work. Like as you begin to think about what paintings you want to do, like your own original work, then it's fine to kind of study. All right, get that over here. Now let's bring this up. I typically see a Santa with a army hat on. All right, get that down. All right, so here's the cool thing about even just doing something. You can just grab a soft brush, what I do, and I'm just going to take another Chiquille big golden Taklon brush. And because burn umber will dry pretty quickly, you can just kind of bat it away a little bit. And now I'm just going to do the face. All right, let's get some colors on here. Let me grab my cat red light. Alright, here's cat red light. Cat red light's a good overall, you know, it's a red orange, so it's somewhere in that space of, you know, there we go, color that is not too red, not too orange, somewhere in the middle of that. And then I'm going to just lower the chroma. I'm going to use titanium white just because it's pretty abundant. And then I sometimes will use a modulator of burn umber to paint into if I want to lower the chroma. And then I'm going to let's grab a little bit of yellow ochre. That. Here we go. Yellow ochre. Colors are never where I need them. All right. And now yellow ochre. Yellow ochre is, if it needs to go toward orange, you know, the beauty of these colors is that they're chromatic, but not too chromatic. You know, you can use other colors too, and when I teach, we use other ones. All right, and I'm going to try to get rid of that line because you don't quite see lines like that. You know, outline is more a base boundary. All right, just gonna. There we go. I'm going to go dig back into the burn umber, go darker. It feels like it'll cool it. There we go. No, I think he did it pretty much. I don't think he fiddled with the color all that much. So try to do that. Try to just leave it. I think more students are just fiddling with everything all the time. And you got to get into the, or I would suggest you would get into the mode of just learning how to leave something on the canvas instead of fiddling with it. You look at these old illustrators like this, and they just obviously had a time crunch and just learned how to hit it. Hit it the first time, so you didn't have to go back and fiddle and make a mess on the canvas. I'm gonna just go back in a little bit, soften some of the edges. But think about just there's a yellow here, a red. What is the colors? What I love about Leyendecker too is that it looks like he's kind of wetting, like the character is always got a highlight, specular glossy highlight on them. I mean, even something like that feels like a Leyendecker. Alright, there we go. And now I'm going to just pull it. Now if you want, you can introduce another color. You just grab it. A little dried out right now. There we go. A little black. If you want to put a little blue in there, you could. I think he was using something like a raw umber, which cools it. Let me grab raw umber. Here we go. Raw umber. Just going to drop it on here and it'll help to cool it. It's going to pull it towards green a little bit. Raw umbers can vary depending on the brand. Alright, there we go. So now I'm going to pull that in. You can see it almost appears like a cool, almost like a green. So you add a little bit of yellow ochre. It will feel like it's going to pull it towards green. Look at that. Looks very, very low chroma. So now I'm going to pull that up towards the... There we go. With the yellow ochre. Nice little shift in color. Rob Liberace did a nice, I think, class on painting like Leyendecker. Like in the spirit. Get some of the... You can paint wet into wet, of course. That's what this is. There we go. There's also the tone of the canvas I'm allowing to be a big part of it. Clean the brush every once in a while. Just scoop a big thing of burn umber down there. All right. Scoop it. Get it on a little thin. If I want to go thicker, I'm going to come back in and just pop it on there. Get a little of that ivory. Really cools it. But ivory will hit a note. Nice dark note if needed. Like the eye. Alright. Let's get this. Kind of searching on the palette for a color. He's got like a lot of drawing action going on, which could throw the student when you're doing a copy like this. There's only so many combos that you can get. in this painting, which is the beauty of a limited palette. Deep red. There we go. All right. Cheeks get pretty red. I mean, if you wanted to, you could tip over to alizarin. Really get that red. I use alizarin claret or alizarin permanent because what that does is it's light fast. Alizarin crimson, the color that kind of everyone uses, is actually a light fast issue. And I would just be very careful with it. There we go. So his beard, get it nice and kind of gray right there. Let the brush drag. This is where, when people do copies and stuff, they take their sweet little time to make a mark, but you have to drag. I mean, if you're really studying the work, you really understand the way in which somebody's working. It's you just can't get some marks by slowly articulating. Like if I broke this down into a pixel, I could draw anything, right? And then I could say, oh, under a microscope, this is the mark. And then you put them back together and you zoom out. It looks like a loose painting. If you really are trying to understand how that mark was made, that's different than doing that kind of method. That doesn't mean you understand it. That just means you're turning into a great copier. But really, to get in and understand in what time would somebody make that mark is a different thing that that people are after, and that's the difference when you do something quick and you're trying to get the mark because the artist made it quick. Then you're really studying the why, and then the question now becomes, when can I put that in my work? And then you have the power to understand why and when the artist used it, rather than be at the mercy of a copy, always copying. Not trying to be pejorative, maybe that's something somebody wants, just that methodology. Never something I was interested in. All right, go back here. And he's got like a touch of like the hand in it. Again, I think there's a green to it, which makes me think he's pulling it towards yellow ochre a little bit. Here's the thing, you could change the perception of the whole thing, something like what Michel Chevrel said, just by changing the color of the background. This may feel like it kind of locks into place in terms of the copy by just doing something like that. And you see the brushwork, till he's playful with it. I mean, the drawing is not perfect. Again, if you're trying to get the spirit of something, that's different than just doing a copy. Of course, there's plenty of value in either, whatever way you want to do it. I'm not here to judge, but if you're trying to really learn the mark of the artist, I would say I'm still falling short of it, but just a different methodology in which I'd say the copy is implemented. There we go. Of course, you can go find what Leyendecker did if, his method, his brushes, and then, if he says, do it, I did a head in 3 hours, and of course, if that's really what, I don't really know if that's what he did, then that's the truth. Then I would move towards that, and then see if you can get similar results to what Leyendecker's doing, and that's, to me, that's where, if you want to learn the power of the person, that's that. And so look at, even the ground plane has a bit of green already in it. I'm trying to preserve a little of that as I build this. All right, and then it's got coolness going on in there too. Not that you have to make it feel like a gray beard, but there we go. Get the gray in there, just a little. You can freestyle, dance with the brush, go off. Go. You get something like that, and then you realize maybe this now can all go a little bit more towards the red. Maybe take some white, go with the alizarin, pushes it towards violet. It's quite a nice color to pop on there. Now that all feels darker, so I'm going to go back in, pull a couple things up into the light, just a touch, and then pull this up in the light, very wet into wet, so it is not as strong. You begin to kind of slowly pull things up. Clean the brush a little bit. It's interesting because the picture makes it seem probably a little bit more chromatic. That's why, again, the essence is what I try to pull, because, if I'm just copying, I'm not thinking. That's the thing about copying. I think a lot of people can become good copiers. I don't know. People that copy, of course, way better than I do. But it's not, to me, it's always an extraction. And then dance with the brush. It's a study like the Schaefers and the Cornwells all the time. It's one of the reasons why I just love them. The marks that they're making are just, you can tell that they're just hitting it in one shot, and there's just a difference between slow painting and then that's a bravura, as it's sometimes called, style, in which you're really just getting in and going for it, and see a lot of it. I see sometimes all the Prima painters today doing things that are similar. But there was like a show. There's a video of Cornwall. I think Gurney had posted it. And I'd recommend watching it. Harvey Dunn, another one. The way in which they worked, just very, very fast. And but obviously off of articulated skill that they were able to kind of work that fast. Alright, maybe I get a tiny bit of underpainting here just to, as I wrap it up, just to get like this. Get the hat in there. There's marks even in like the underpainting like that. Just beautiful. There we go. Come back in, refine the drawing a touch. So he had this kind of open hatch, even in painting, that he would add to his painting. You see it a lot later in his later work. You study it. There's a uniqueness to it. It's one of the things I love about. You can tell a Leyendecker from 50 feet away, right when you see it, and quite fascinating. Get a little of the back in there, and then maybe just call it a day. Try to see what I can do another 30 minutes sometimes, just to keep it in the spirit of having a short amount of time. What do you do? All right. There we go. Cake the paint on. Beautiful place to just experiment. Get that in. Everything's slightly, I rotated my palette so I keep wanting to grab somewhere else for some of this stuff. All right. A little bit more red edge there. Right on the nose. We'll burn number on here. Reload the palette. Some titanium white on there. Don't be cheap at the paint. Right at the edge there. There we go. So you can refine, of course. Hitting it the first time is a hope, doesn't always happen. You can always clean a little bit. I would just say, one of the common things I used to see before I learned how to paint was that instructors would say just cover the canvas with paint and then begin to paint into it and stuff like that. And it didn't really help. I still don't think it helps. Unless you're doing like a thin underpainting wash, I think that would help. But if it's just covering it and then trying to figure out how to undo the mess that was made and you're painting into a soup, then it's very extremely difficult. And do thin underpaintings if you can. If you do it underpainting. Anyway, this is wet into wet, just cleaning it, kind of tapping all the things into the places that I need them to, just a little bit. There's a little red on his lip. There's a little life to it. Deep red right there. Ear. There we go. A little black if needed to deepen it. White out of the tube. Tone that down a little bit, just adding a tiny bit of pressure to it. All right. And then it feels just a little too linear around the eye. Get that down into a line. Just break it up. Just a back and forth. Get the eyelid up. Maybe a touch of blue. I don't know. I could fiddle with it all day. I'm not gonna. So just gonna wrap it up here. Maybe it's even just something that you draw on paint. Back. That. And it just kind of shows the back of the form. There we go. Then, of course I can keep going all day. I'm not gonna, but I think I'm just gonna leave it. And I would say that Leyendecker, I bet you he nailed it in one shot, which I can't. So he's, obviously that's why we study him. Or what I do. I think he's wonderful. So, all right, and wrapping up. Thanks for completing the challenge, and thanks for tuning in. And hopefully you got a lot out of it. Would continue these practices whenever you can. I think you will see the progress, which, even just to get in the studio and do a master sketch is worth it.